Hey everybody, Sean Tierney here from theautomationblog.com, and in this episode of the Automation Podcast, I sit down with Nicole Luther from Siemens to talk about their real-time locating systems. Now these are systems that can locate a forklift in your warehouse or locate a tool in your manufacturing facility, or even tell you if your employees are not social distancing. So with that said, I hope you enjoy this presentation. Nicole, thank you very much for putting this presentation together and coming on the podcast. I'm really looking forward to learning all about the real-time locating systems that you guys offer from Siemens.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. I'm happy to present here today. We're talking about real-time locating system, SIMATIC RTLS, which is the Siemens RTLS portfolio. And I'm going to give a quick introduction about what RTLS is, how it works, and definitely some use case examples so that everybody can understand where RTLS can be used, because there's a huge variety of different applications and use cases that that customers can benefit from. And I'd like to explain real quick the difference between RTLS and RFID, because I think RFID is probably more known as than RTLS. And the way I like to describe it is that with RFID, you identify something, you know what it is, and you know when it passes a certain read point. But after that, you lose it until the object or the asset, whatever you track, goes to the next read point where you track it again. So with RTLS, what we do is we locate in real time all the time, and it's not necessarily that one technology is better than the other, or there are applications where RFID can be used together with RTLS, because both of the technologies can complement each other very well. But sometimes it's also very clear that depending on what the customer is looking for, what the application is like, it could go both directions. And a good thing with Siemens is that we can consult the customer on the right technology, because we do have both in our portfolio. So coming back to RTLS and how it works. So just like with RFID, if you want to track something, you got to put a tag on it, a transponder. And these transponders, they communicate with the infrastructure that you see here in the middle layer. These are our so-called gateways. And what we provide with from the tags is the location data, X, Y, and Z. We provide a unique identification number. We provide a timestamp and a battery status, because we're talking about an active technology here. So our tags, they typically have either a battery inside, or they have some sort of power supply. It can also be an external power supply. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the different transponders on a later slide. But these gateways, they bring the data that we get from the tags into our locating manager, which is our software that calculates the real-time locating, the real-time position. And then from there, really depends on what the customer wants to do with the data, where they want to use the data. And we can integrate into, whether it be an ERP system, MES system, it could be a PLC. We have software within Siemens, middleware, where you can see the data, analyze the data, run your reports. So everything is possible. It just depends on what the application is like and what the customer requirements are. This is an overview of the portfolio, what belongs to an RTLS system. So as I mentioned, we have the tags, our transponders. You see there's a variety of different ones, depending on your mounting opportunities, or your mounting, the way you can mount the tags on the system. You have a variety of display tags here, where we can actually save information on the tags. And then, as I mentioned, there are different tags that have either a battery inside that are rechargeable. The asset tag here, for instance, in the front, that's our smallest tag. That one you can change the battery. And then we have a tag that typically goes on like forklifts or any kind of vehicles that can be connected to an external power supply. In the middle, you have the gateways, as I mentioned, our infrastructure, and on the right, the locating manager, which is our software to configure the system. You see the objects moving around here in our visualization. So it's basically our configuration tool. And what RTLS can really help you with and help our customers with is to find things. It's always interesting when I talk to customers, how much time they really spend on searching for things. Very time consuming and long search procedures. They lose their assets where, at the end they have to spend time either producing more or buying more. So it can really help them to find and keep track of their inventory. And then document everything automatically. So obviously there's still a lot of paper travelers out there. It can definitely help reduce that, monitor things, get an overview of your logistics procedures, your manufacturing processes, and also control and guide, whether it be people, whether it be AGVs or forklifts, as you can see here on the screen. So a huge variety of different applications that you can do with RTLS. And these are the different application areas. So we have a lot of application in smart manufacturing, production control, for instance, or production applications, logistics applications, warehouse, people tracking for safety, for instance, but also to locate service and maintenance personnel or provide certain access to people. And then vehicle tracking, fleet management, whether it be your own fleet or trucks, for instance, that come in, and also yard management like bus depots or light rail. And we're going to go a little bit deeper into those kind of applications just to show you, what you can do, show you different applications that we've done to give you a better idea, and maybe also, to identify something where you can use RTLS in your production facility or your logistics facility. So one of the common use cases is production control, work in progress. What we did here was the customer used to work with paper travelers, meaning that they had paper travelers on their car bodies. So the car bodies would come into a certain station and workers would have to check, what needs to be done, what's the next production process. So right now, what they do with RTLS is they put a tag on each of the car bodies and they know exactly where each car body is in the production process. They get detailed information, everything is documented automatically. They can trace it back if they need to, and everything, they were able to optimize their whole production process. Along with that goes this application. What we did here was we put a tag in those tools that this customer uses. So for instance, in a screwdriver, we put our tags, one of our OEM tags in there, and they get precise location of this tool. So as you could see the path of the tool. We're able to locate outside of the car body, inside of the car body, and track the tool. And what we do here is we put geofence areas around the car body. So once the car comes into a workstation, because there is a tag on the car body now, the system knows exactly what kind of car it is, what needs to be done. Even the torque is automatically set already. And once the worker steps into that geofencing area, the screwdriver starts working, they can do their production steps. And then once they step out of the geofencing area, the screwdriver stops working. So it's also a safety procedure here that we do with RTLS. And we save significant time here for the customers, and they're actually able to produce 4 more cars a day, which is obviously a huge benefit.
I think you were also telling me too that you had a case where you could even tell if they did all, like let's say they had to do 10 steps, like put 10 screws in. You could actually alarm or warn based on, hey, you didn't do all 10. You only did like 7, 8, or 9 of them. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes, because they know exactly what the production procedures or steps are. the system basically tells them and they can see it on a screen what needs to be done. And obviously based on the location, they can check, okay, was every step done or is there something missing? Yes, that's correct. There's another application, which is basically a smart glove, as we call it. So that glove has our tag in it too, and it's very similar to what you just said. They know exactly which production steps need to be done. And then based on the location where the worker was, or in that case, the hand or the glove or the screwdriver, the system detects if every production step was done or if something is missing, and then it would set an alarm and the worker knows, okay, I missed something, there's something I still need to do. So it's also, quality protection at the end. So here in this case, you see one of our e-paper tags is being used, and that one is a lot used for logistics applications. You can see on the screen, for instance, if something is in the process, you can provide different information to a worker, for instance. We have a designer software where you can determine, okay, I want to see logos on the display. I want to see text. I want to see a barcode or a DMC code. So all that is possible and can be determined, prior to start of the application. And then based on the location of the tags, the information will change and provide, like I said, different information to a worker. An example here is one of our customers, they produce plastic parts, and the plastic parts needed to be used in a certain time. So they produced the plastic part, they put it into a storage area, and they basically didn't know. They didn't have any overview of when it went in there, how long it's been sitting there, etc. So they now use one of our e-paper tags, and they set up a storage area with a geofence, and they know exactly when a box with the plastic parts goes in to that storage area. They have the they have the transparency and can see how long it's been sitting there, when they need to use it. And then once they get the alarm and the system says, hey, you need to use those parts, the worker goes there, and on the tag itself, they can verify again, hey, are these the right parts? Do I have the right box? So just to give you an example here, and they basically eliminated the waste that they had and can save now a significant amount of cost because they had to reproduce those plastic parts over and over just because they had to throw them away. So again, RTLS helps here, to reduce the time-consuming searches and loss of parts.
And I love the fact that you're using e-paper. So it just takes a small, not unlike an LCD, which you would have to power the whole time. It just takes a small amount of energy to update that. And then there's no drawer, right? That screen is now changed and it just stays there, and it takes no energy to keep that going. So your battery lasts a lot longer.
Exactly. Yeah, it really just uses battery once when the display changes. Yeah, and after that, the e-ink display doesn't need any or doesn't pull any of the battery anymore. So typically, what we say here is it always depends as far as the battery life. How many times do you want the tag to provide location data? So basically, the update cycle, right? But typically, what we say when we work with ultra wideband here is that if you blink once a second, the tag will last about 6 months.
Wow, that's nice. And just for anybody who's listening and not watching, the Paperwhite display looks really good. I mean, they got a barcode on it, they got a DMC on it, which is like a QR code. It kind of looks like a QR code a little bit, and even from a distance, it looks really like a Paperwhite Amazon Kindle. So anybody listening to the podcast, it's just an impressive looking display.
Yeah, and this is really up to the customer. Like I mentioned, we have a designer software here, and they can determine what they want to see on the tag. Another example is AGV locating or forklift locating. There are requests for collision avoidance, of course, when you have high traffic areas and you have people, you have forklifts, you have AGVs. So all that, of course, needs to be coordinated in order to avoid accidents, and with the location data, we can, basically provide that information and say, okay, there's a forklift, there's an AGV, they come too close together, we can set an alarm, the system can stop or alarm, whether it be a person or can stop an AGV, for instance. But you can also optimize your routes and optimize your material flow. That's another example with an overhead crane. So they had obviously those cranes, and then there were people underneath. You had forklifts. So there were some accidents. And now with the location data, we help them coordinate that and, alert the people when the crane and the worker are in the same area, for instance. We locate the forklifts to avoid collisions. So again, this is a real life example where we use RTLS in order to, basically keep employees safe and avoid those collisions. Inbound and outbound logistics, one of the things I would like to mention is that our system can be used indoors and outdoors. We have two different technologies in our system. We have ultra wideband, as I mentioned, and we also have 2.4 gigahertz technology. So it's a hybrid system, can be used indoors and outdoors. Gives a huge scalability to and flexibility to our customers. So this example here, whether it be your own fleet or you have external like trucks that come in, you can just equip those with a tag, or once the trucks come in, you provide a tag to the driver, and you know exactly where and how long those trucks are in your facility or in your yard. You can guide them to an available dock, for instance. One of the things we can do as well with RTLS is, I was telling you about how it works, and we work with a triangulation typically in order to get the exact location. But we can also just work with a presence mode. So let's say for a truck, you don't necessarily need the exact location down to 30 centimeters or about a foot of accuracy that we can provide with ultra wideband. We can also work with a presence mode. If you just want to know, was a truck in a certain station, or is it here? We can also just provide you that, and we don't work with a triangulation. We just work with a single gateway. So again, it provides a lot of flexibility as far as applications for our customers.
Yeah, I was thinking if you had a tool or a truck that was in the repair shop, you really wouldn't need to know which bay it's in the repair shop, or you know that it's out of service, it's being repaired, it's in the repair shop. So you wouldn't need otherwise, if it's on the plant floor, yeah, you probably want to know exactly where it is. When you showed this slide last time, I was thinking too that if you had a visitor and you had some critical areas where visitors couldn't go, it'd be another great way to track a visitor. Give them the smaller tag that you can wear on your lapel, or clip on a lanyard, and then security could get a warning if that visitor ever went someplace they weren't to go. If they wandered off into a dangerous area. So yeah, very very interesting options. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and personnel locating or visitors, that is something we are actually going to get to as well. Just real quick here as an example of like yard management, and just like your example, if you want to know if a bus is in the repair shop, right? I mean, you don't need to have the exact location. It's enough to know, okay, it's there. Or the same thing is, of course, you can guide them there. Once they come into your yard, you can give an alarm to an alert to the driver and say, hey, okay, this bus needs to go to repair shop now, needs to be washed, or whatever it is. But also just these yards are huge, right? And they have hundreds of buses. So it's difficult for them to find the right bus sometimes. And we help them here with RTLS in order to know exactly which parking spot a bus is, or whether it be, like a light rail application, a train, or something like that. And as you can see here, the yellow dots, this is typically what a device plan looks like. So you have our gateways, which are the green and the red dots. And we provide that for the customer so they know exactly how many devices would I need in order to solve my application, in order to get the location information that I need. And then these yellow circles that you see here, that's basically where we use presence mode, just to give you an idea of what that typically looks like and how we lay it out for a customer, prior to them purchasing it, just so they have a good idea of what the system will look like and how many devices are needed. Yeah, and then Sean, to your other example with location of people, definitely, visitors, if you want to know, are they still in the group or did they just wander off? Or, I mean, there were, cases where customers came to us and said, hey, we have accidents when visitors come in, so we need a way to be able to locate them, if they go into an area that they're not supposed to go into, or just a dangerous area, we need to be able to alert them, or need to be able to basically keep an eye on them, or even later on, go back and see where visitors were. So that's something we can do with RTLS. But also, when you think about service and maintenance personnel, if a machine is down and you want to know who's the closest person that can actually repair the machine, I mean, you don't want to waste a lot of time, definitely not when a machine is down. So we can locate service and maintenance personnel with RTLS, and that way you can send the person that's the closest, in order to reduce the machine downtime.
That's one of the requests I've had over the last 30 years is these facilities that are huge, whether it's a big outdoor facility, a treatment facility, or a big indoor facility. They typically are running a staff that's right sized. And so, if somebody's in building, 12, they want to direct them to building 11 rather than have somebody come all the way from the front office. So yeah, that's a huge, and again, if you have a staff of technicians knowing where they are, what they're working on, that's huge.
Definitely, yeah. Or if you have areas, with just a dangerous environment, right? And you need to know, how many people are in there at the same time, or, are they still moving? Did something happen? We also work with a partner that produces hard helmets, especially for those, environments that are more dangerous than, let's say, a normal production area, and they can even detect if somebody falls. There's communication included in the helmet. They can see, there's video in the helmet, so they can see the environment as well, and again, just locate the people too, so in case that something happens, they know where the people are, and they find them quicker, but also just to alert them. Again, we have the collision avoidance topic a lot. So yeah, RTLS can really help to keep employees safe. And along those lines, obviously, at the moment, with the pandemic going on, we're all the whole world is, in the same boat, basically. And we also came up with a social distancing solution where we use the existing RTLS technology and product portfolio in order to help customers navigate through those new guidelines, this new normal, basically. And I guess we all know the challenges, but just to emphasize it here, the most important question nowadays is, how do I keep my employees safe, right? How do I help navigate those new guidelines? How do I also provide some confidence to the workers, that they either come back to work or that they feel confident in their work environment? And then, of course, the additional costs that happened, or that, customers face, not only because of the shutdowns and the lost production, but also the cleaning and disinfection procedures that they have to go through, especially when they have people in the plant that tested positive. And then, of course, you have production facilities they had to completely shut down, so they're trying to find a way back. And you also had, of course, the essential workers that needed to keep producing, but of course sometimes they went down to, let's say they usually had 3 shifts, now they went down to 1 shift, so they're trying to ramp up production again, but still trying to keep their employees safe. And then, you know, the investments that they make, they obviously want to make it a future investment and invest in something that they can reuse. Nobody knows how long we have to maintain social distancing, but it's good to invest in a technology that you can also use for something else. So all of those challenges and you know, also requests that we received from customers led us to come up with a solution based on RTLS, which I'm going to introduce now. So as you can see, the e-paper tag is back here on this slide, because we use this tag to provide a visual alert to our customers or to the employees. So what happens here is that the workers wear a tag, and then we do have an algorithm in our C-Trace software, which is a software specifically for social distancing and contact tracing. And if 2 people or multiple people are too close together, the software will detect that and alert the tag to change the display. So just what I mentioned earlier, you know, based on the location, the information on the tag will change. So that's exactly what happens here. The tag will flash, it'll blink, and provide the alert to the employees, like, you know, violation or alarm or step back, or really whatever the customer wants to see on the tag. But this is how we basically provide information to to the employees. And we thought a lot about, okay, this visual indication, you know, is it obvious enough? And I mean, the change of the display is very obvious. I know that there are solutions out there that, you know, have like vibration in them or a tone, but we thought about a production facility, and I don't know how many times I've missed, you know, a call or a text message because my phone was on vibrate. And in a production facility, typically it's loud, so you might not hear if there is an alarm or an alert. So we see this visual indication here as very important, because typically the risk scenario is when people gather. It's not necessarily when somebody walks by, right? So it's really when people gather and stand together for a certain amount of time. And this algorithm here, you can basically, as a customer, determine, okay, I want the alert to happen after 10 seconds, after 15 minutes. You know, this is really up to the customer, and we call it the dwell time can be set depending on, you know, depending on the customer needs. And also, of course, we have the guideline from the CDC with the 6 feet, but also that is flexible. If you want the alert to go off at 7 feet, can totally be done with our algorithm. And then you have the visualization with C-Trace as well, which basically provides the contact tracing information. You can run reports and really analyze the data of the violations.
Yeah, that's amazing. So if somebody did get sick and you want to see if they were in a congregating with other people, you could run it backwards and you could see who they were. If they did congregate with any other groups, you could see who they grouped with. That's excellent.
Exactly. I mean, the contact tracing is key, right? Especially when somebody gets sick. And we know it from our own Siemens facilities where we actually implemented the solution, because I know that they had to, if somebody tested positive, they had to go through very time-consuming interview procedures, and they, of course, had to ask the person who the person was in contact with. And I mean, honestly, I don't even know what I had for breakfast this morning, so I wouldn't know who I was in contact with, or probably not everybody, right? And then these people, who were they in contact with? So it's a long procedure in order to find out, you know, who could be affected as well. And we provide this solution here to really help to overcome those challenges and you know, provide this data quickly. And I mean, that's something that you need, right? I mean, alarming people is one thing, and that's important. And, a lot of different solutions can do that, but this here specifically shows all the features and all the benefits that we can provide, because not only is it the contact tracing and the alarming, if you know where violations happen, you can actually do something about it, because there might be hotspots, right, as we call it, where those violations happen on a frequent basis. So if you know, okay, there's a certain place where the machines are too close together, and people constantly are too close together, you can, just change the machine layout. Or if there is an aisleway where workers have to go through and they stand together, or they come too close together on a frequent basis, well, you might just want to make that a one directional aisleway, right? But you can only do that if you know where those violations happen. And as I mentioned earlier, nobody knows how long we have to do this social distancing. Is there going to be a second wave or not? With RTLS, you have the technology and you can use it, whether it be at the same time as you use it for social distancing, or after the social distancing is over. And, it's easy because you have the infrastructure in place, and it's easy to just put the tag away from a person and put it on an asset. Or, like I mentioned, if there is going to be a second wave, you can just reuse it again and put it or give it back to the workers. Or you can just use it at the same time as social distancing. So there's really no limitation, and the system provides a great flexibility for customers, and it's not something that they have to throw away after we're done with social distancing, which I think is a key point here. So yeah, I mean, that's basically the overview of our RTLS system and what can be done with it. And I hope I provided some ideas and just a better insight and understanding of what RTLS can do. And obviously, we're here to support, right? I mean, there is a whole team that helps to find the right solution and to help and consult on the design of the system, provide training, and of course deploy the solution as best as we can, and provide exactly what the customer needs. And if you do have a need, then just reach out to your Siemens contact.
Nicole, thank you so much for putting this together. It's so interesting. It's such a great technology. It's something I've had people ask me for years, and I'm like, I don't know if anybody can do this. So, this real-time location systems is just very, very interesting stuff, and I hope our listeners find it interesting as well. But thank you again for putting it on and coming on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
I really enjoyed that presentation. Just so much going on there, so much you can use that system for. And I really want to thank Nicole for taking the time out of her busy schedule to put that together for us and come on the show. With that said, if you enjoyed it, please give us a thumbs up and a sub. And if you'd like to support our show, you can do so with a small monthly pledge over at patreon.com/automation. That said, if you know anybody looking for automation training, please send them over to my website, theautomationschool.com. And with that, I just want to wish you all a very safe, healthy, and happy week. And until next time, my friends, peace.